I want to discuss addiction. In addiction, there's no friends, there's no brothers, there's no sisters, there's no zumal, there's no associates, none of that. Because the only friend that the addict has is the drug. The only friend that the addict has is the drug. The only friend that the addict has is the drug. The only brother the addict has is the drug. And the end result, because the drug will actually influence them, propel them, encourage them, enamor them to act in a manner that they wouldn't normally act if they had not been on the drug. Yes, the drug is disease, but it doesn't mean that they do anything less horrendous, that they're not doing any, that they won't become a problem, that the effects may not be just as deadly because of the fact of them doing drugs and because it's a disease. People who, like on ice, heroin, cocaine, crack, on hard drugs, are more susceptible to doing things. And people who are on these drugs are least susceptible to develop and to grow, to have good friendships, mostly, except for the people that have gone through what they're going through, and perhaps it's come from like Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, and these people can identify with each other's struggle, and so they may bond way much more quicker, even if they're Muslim or even if they're Christian, than they would with their Christian counterparts or their Muslim counterparts who have no knowledge of what they've gone through, or don't have who haven't gone through it, or who have not dealt with people who have dealt with it before. So, for people that are foreigners who come into the country, who have learned of the propaganda against African Americans or Native American Indians or Hispanics, that this propaganda or that on television, is done so with the purpose of smearing or shadowing, because in this country there's always been, primarily for 400 years, three groups of people, and that was the white people, the African American people, and the indigenous Indians. And then, became the white people, the African American, the indigenous Indians, the Asians on the West Coast, and the Hispanics and so forth in the Midwest and on the East Coast mostly, as well as the West Coast. And so then it became, now it's a little bit more diverse. And as each group comes in, they kind of push the African American to the bottom of the barrel, and everybody is getting, I hear brothers who are Africans tell me, oh, you have all these benefits. First of all, most African Americans did fight for those benefits that many people benefit from who were not here when African Americans was fighting for them. And the second thing is that because you're on the outside looking in, that the political or the social system is pretty much geared to almost ensure that African Americans never get those same benefits that they fought for. Now, you may not be able to understand that, but ask any African American man, ask any African American woman, and you can sit up there arguing until you're blue in the face, but guess what? The reality is the reality. It is what it is. And there's a lot of African Americans who actually dislike people from Africa, who dislike people from other countries, because they're able to get these particular things that they themselves can't get. Believe that. I know. But my thing is about addiction. The message has to do better in America and around the country. When you're talking about brothers who have drug habits and you're talking about sisters who have drug habits, it's very, very important that you understand that when new members come to the masjid, as far as men, and then they're becoming regulars, you have to, as a jamaat or as a board, a majlis or whatever, you have to have sit down and come hither moment with these brothers and find out where they're from, are they Muslim, how long they Muslim, what masjid, you know what I'm saying, what was the imam's name, have they ever, been in the system, had anything with the system, have they ever been, drug use, and if so, what is it? Are they currently still there? Have they beat it? These are things that have to be asked before, because eventually, the things that they normally wouldn't do if they were sober, the drug will influence them to do. Even when they don't desire to do it. They might cry about it, and snots might come out later, and they might really seriously, sincerely be ashamed. But the damage is done. And when that type of damage is, if you don't nip these things in the bud before they occur, then you have collateral effect, you have spillover effect on those people that had nothing to do with it. Now you have other members living in them crazy simply because you're guilt by association. They're black, you're black. They're Pakistani, you're Pakistani. They're Arab, you're Arab. Now all Arabs are Osama bin Laden. You remember how that felt? So the same thing with African Americans. When one African American brother does something in a masjid that's bad, all African Americans are looked at with suspicion. And that's haram. I mean, the law tells us in the Quran that this is going to happen. The law says, fear the punishment that just doesn't affect those people that do wrong. Fear the fitna. He don't say the punishment, he said fear the fitna, the trials. Being part of the collateral damage. Well, why should there be collateral damage when you can take precautions to stop this and nip it in the bud? It doesn't mean to be harsh. It doesn't mean to be invasive. It doesn't mean none of that. It means to take pragmatic steps in order to ensure that certain things like this are prevented. Islam is not about a pound of cure where you cure things after they happen. Islam is about an ounce of prevention, that you prevent these things. This is why they have the separation of the men and the women. It's not about you wait till after adultery has occurred in order to say, oh, we got to separate. No, you separate them because you want to ensure that this doesn't happen on your watch. So you take precautions in advance. You don't take precautions after. You don't come up with an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. An ounce is better than a pound. An ounce, a little small precautionary measures is way much better than trying to cure a situation after it has occurred, and it has so many spillover effects and overlapping effects that it actually does more damage than it does good. This is the wisdom in farsightedness. This is the wisdom in understanding things down the road. And alhamdulillah, and this is the wisdom in listening sometimes to people. I'm not a mathematician, so if I want to know about math, I go to the cat who knows about math. I don't, in my mindset, take it upon myself and say, well, I know that this root is equal to this root on the quantum physics, and I'm gonna get this. When I don't know, I don't know anything about it. And it would be foolish for me to try to do that. So, same thing, I stay in my lane. Those areas I don't know, but those areas I do know. Alhamdulillah, and I can learn more, but I do know what I know. So the reality is that, remember this, the brothers on the 4 things: ice, meth, crack, heroin, and a couple more exotic drugs. Way much more powerful than the time of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, when all they had was alcohol. Way much more addictive than back then. And the things these people do for them is way much more greater. So we have to understand and look at things from a different perspective. We have to. And the other area on this is that know that these people, that they don't really develop real friendships with anybody except for you being a mark and a target mark, to figure out how they can get money from you, something from you that they can sell in order to get more drugs. That's all you are. Now your ego may not accept that, and they may not want to accept it because they may want to be in denial about how they really are. But for the ones who are really true to themselves, they'll tell you, yeah, it's true. It's true. Because they only develop a friendship and a kinship to the drug. And they will do whatever it takes to get that drug. They will do whatever it takes. So, addiction is a very serious thing. You wouldn't let an addict in your house, walk around your house with you. Why would you let an addict walk around the masjid? You wouldn't just let, some of you won't even let brothers who are good brothers around know where you stay because they're not of your ethnicity. They're not of your family, your countrymen. Because of the propaganda. All African Americans are primarily probable to be a thief, or to be a crackhead, or to be untrustworthy. Gaida Wakid. So you won't even let them know, even if they're good. But you let a person in the masjid that you know that has a problem. Think about that. You have ADT around your house. You have a fence around your house. You won't let certain brothers around your house who are actually pious brothers. Won't even let them know where you stay, who are actually pious brothers, because you don't trust them. But you'll let anybody in the masjid, Allah's house, without question. We can be utopic. We can be to the point of being foolish. You know, you can be so righteous that you ignore the fact that there's a guy down the street with a gun shooting people. And you say, "Oh, Allah, it's not going to bother me. I have Allah with me." And you go down and he shoots you. And you say, "Oh, Allah, why did you shoot me? Why did you let him shoot me?" Allah might tell you, I sent that guy down the street to tell you that it was a guy down there shooting people. I don't understand your complaint. You didn't listen. Which goes to the old story of the man in the town where the town was flooding. And as the flood was coming, you know, the man, he got up on his car. The flood came a little bit more. He got up on the house. The flood came a little bit more. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him a boat. He told him, said, "Nah, Allah, take care of me." God comes with a helicopter, throws the rope down for him to grab up. He said, "Nah, Allah's going to take care of me." Helicopter flies off. Man drowns. He goes before the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jalla. And he said, "Ya Allah, for all these years I've worshipped you. For all these years I have made dua to you. I've asked you for your help, and you abandoned me." And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Okay, I sent the person with the boat. You turn him down. I sent the person with the helicopter. You turn him down. I do not understand your grievance, my servant. I sent you help." "Ya Allah, I thought you was coming." He said, "Oh Allah." Allah says, I sent my servants. That was my help. So when a person sends a servant to do these things, to tell the teacher, you know, take precautions. Take precautions. New members in the Jamaat acting weird, ask them, talk to them. Don't be ashamed. You didn't violate them. They put themselves in a position to be requested. And this is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. When the wicked man comes to you with questions, and you know what I'm saying, with news, and investigate it. And investigate the person and ask them, very simple, brother, do you have any drug use? Are you using now? How long has it been since you've been off? Very, very honestly. Yes. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Don't think this is haram, it's not haram, it's halal. That's the first thing I want to talk about. And the people who use the drugs, they suffer from arrested development mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and socially. And they have what a dry high, even after they've quit, you know, it might last a year or two. So be very careful, and don't associate everybody in the same apartment. And if you want to prevent, an ounce of prevention is that you set up a dialogue for new members before they become members, and new people that come to the masjid on a regular basis that you don't know about. Ask. Don't wait till things happen. Ask. That's the first thing. Second thing, alhamdulillah, is that there was a Muslim sister, and that this Muslim sister, she, for whatever reasons, subhanallah, the Muslim sister, for whatever reason, she had left her home. Her father and mother had given up on her, had the opportunity to speak to her father. And I want to say this, you know, down the street, a couple down the street, there's over 6 or 7 different posters up of women who've been missing. And I don't know if the Muslim community think that Muslim women can't get missing. You know, we're in denial that this sister might be missing. Nobody's seen her since Monday. And you have to understand that this sister suffered from diabetes, schizophrenia, and bipolar, and she, being in that type of situation, she couldn't take care of herself. And the streets are very, very rough. You think about what you hear on the news and think about at least 5 situations happen every night, almost in every part of the city, every night. And if you don't believe me, just call the emergency room and ask them, get a count of how much stuff happens a night, and think about what you see on the news. There's 10 times more things happen a night than you see. So the best case scenario that this sister could have been, she could be with a group of Muslims now, and they're taking care of her. The next best scenario is that a group of human beings have her, and they're taking care of her by the Father of Allah, who may be Christian or Jew or atheist. And the worst case scenario, she's in somebody's basement because the Muslims didn't help her when they had the opportunity to do so. And I understand the father's angst of not wanting to deal with her no more, and the mother's angst. But at the end of the day, the Mu'min, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to deal with people who have mental illness. It takes a village. The Prophet Muhammad SAW said, one part of the body hurts, the whole body hurts. The Prophet Muhammad SAW said, the believers are like a brick wall. But in this day and age, one part of the body hurts. It depends on the ethnicity of the body and whether we want to invest in that particular body. If it can't give us anything back, then we don't want to make an investment for no return. And if the person appears to be too much of a problem, then we don't want to assist them. What if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that about us? We would all be non-existent. As of last Monday, no one has seen or heard from the sister. No one. Parents, Muslims, especially at this masjid. I don't know. And the last thing anybody saw was her getting on a bus, a city bus. All I can say is that it's very important to the believers that you try to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us to do. And that is, believing men and women are friends and protectors of one another. But clearly this ayah was not in favor of this situation with this young lady. I personally brought it to a masjid. I personally called at least 7 Muslims, called 2 imams, begged and pleaded, argued, and there was no assistance. No assistance from anybody. From no one. The embarrassment that a Muslim sister, and again, in denial of the severity, of the seriousness of the situation. This is what really gets me, that everybody dismisses this and minimizes it though it was something very small. Clearly, pampered life and sheltered life has people believing that it was a small thing. It was a big thing. To the people, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the majority of the people, according to the Islamic Tariq, that accepted al-Islam were the people that were the downtrodden. The downtrodden, I realize, are more susceptible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the people with the money, because they're so pampered. And the downtrodden depend more on Allah because there's no one to help them but Allah. They have no fulus, they have no property, they have no recourse to anything other than praying and begging and doing the small things. And so, the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, these were the people, Abu Hurairah, Abu Dawud, Ghifari, these were the people that, gravitated to him. And even today it is somewhat similar. You would never believe the number of people in the street who gravitate to the deen. But at the same token, the worst of the worst are in the same street. And what they do on a daily basis, you can't write about. And you can't make this up. It's the truth. So what I say is this, no one has seen or heard from her since Monday. And I tell the believing men and women in the future, help people first, especially women who are not physically going to be a harm or anything. Inshallah, don't have a jinn or anything with them. Help them first, and then ask the 5,000 questions you get later. Don't use the 5,000 questions as a means of non-helping and procrastinating to not help. Don't ask the 5,000 questions as a stalling tactic. But help and then ask the 5,000 questions. Then it would be proven that you wanted to help and that you wanted to know about the person to see if you could help more, or if that was the end of it. Let us be honest with ourselves. Let's be practical. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, oh Lord, give me practical knowledge. Give me knowledge that is pragmatic. When you talk about homelessness, we are disproportionately more homeless, African Americans in any group. There are more white people that are homeless, but guess what? I mean, that's to be expected for a population that's 300 million versus a population that's only 44 million. And that being said, in the future, when a person comes to you for help, mu'minina wa mu'minati ba'duhum ala ba'din. The believing women are friends and protect one another. It don't mean protect the people that can help you or pay you back. That's an investment. You protect the people that you know. You protect the people of your ethnicity. No. You protect the people who say that they're believers. There was a historical fact that during the Crusades, that one of the Crusade armies violated one Muslim sister, and the whole Muslim army of Spain went to war behind that one infraction against that sister. That was the level that they held the Muslim women up at that time. And today, get in where you fit in. That's what it is. Make dua. Amen. Make dua.